Good morning, everyone, and hello. I should like to, first of all, obviously begin by thanking Assocham for organizing this seminar. I think such seminars are extremely important, where the private sector, the government, academia, and non-profits can all come together and discuss solutions. I would also, of course, like to welcome a very special guest from FSSAI and LT Foods. It's a real pleasure to share the podium with you. Now, I have been asked to present the nutrition scenario in India, but before that, I would like to look at how the state of the world is. When we look at the world today, we see that India is an island of stability in a sea of uncertainty. Rich countries are facing recession and inflation at a rate they haven't seen for over 50 years, and more than a few poor countries face bankruptcy or outright famine. But we here in India, our economic promise continues unabated. Our GDP is slated to grow at more than 7.5% this year. We are friends with all nations, and we remain steadfastly independent, and we've remained defiantly non-aligned in the war in Ukraine. So why is it, when all these things are going good for us, why is it that the state of our nutrition is not up to the mark right now? And I say this because today, India's population faces acute threats from practically the entire spectrum of non-communicable diseases. So on one end of the spectrum, a lot of India continues to be undernourished. If the National Family Health Survey 5 is to be believed, then at least a third of our children are malnourished. Almost 10% of them, amounting to almost 1 crore, are severely wasted or severely acute malnourished. And this, as we all know, is serious because SAM is a life-threatening problem. It is the central reason behind India's high under 5 mortality. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, the urban populations and middle classes are plagued with the trifecta of metabolic disorders: diabetes, obesity, and cardiovascular problems. We are already on our way to being the diabetic capital of the world. I think we have over 70 million cases in the last count. Obesity, too, is on an aggressive ascent, with the National Family Health Survey reporting about 30% of urban adults overweight or obese. And some experts suggest that cardiovascular problems lead to 1/4 of all deaths in India. Now, I'm putting the focus on these kind of disorders and non-communicable diseases for the simple reason that the solution to these diseases rests largely on good nutrition more than anything else. You can't cure your way out of obesity. You can't cure your way out of malnutrition. You need good nutrition, and you need to eat right. So what should we be doing? Now, I don't pretend to have all the answers, and in fact, I would go on to say that a lot of people in this room are far more qualified than I am to answer this, but my experience in nutrition, food technology, and in the industry has led me to 3 areas which I believe that we as a country should be looking at. I think the first thing we should be doing is getting the macronutrient mix right. I think the Achilles heel in the Indian diet is that our macronutrient mix sometimes goes haywire. Our diets are too stuffed with carbohydrates and sugar, and there are too little fats and proteins. Now, whether it is the parathas, pohas, or the cereals that we eat in the morning, or the rotis and aloo ki sabjis that we eat for lunch or dinner. Now, a diet such as this does not bode well for a person's metabolic health. If 60% or more of your calories are coming from carbs or sugar, then inevitably the insulin in your body will drive the spike in glucose towards fat storage. Or if you're diabetic, the high glycemic load tends to be a mortal threat to you because of the insulin resistance in your body. So we must encourage diet diversification. I think the National Millets Mission, which also has been supported greatly by the FSSAI and many segments of the government, is an extremely encouraging movement in this respect, as it represents diversification away from the standard cereals and rice, both of which in their processed form are very high in carbohydrates. But I think as a country, we need to be more open towards ingredients and categories such as meats, legumes, oilseeds, nuts, all the foods that are rich in protein and fat. My own company, Nuflower Foods, which I founded about 7 years ago, has dedicated its entire life and its entire manufacturing acumen towards developing products that base their effectiveness on high protein and high fat content. So we manufacture lipid-based supplements that treat severe acute malnutrition, and right now, products such as ours are playing central role in resolving problems of famine that have gripped parts of Middle East and Africa. The second area I believe we should look at is intensify the micronutrient fortification drives. And in this case, I do believe that our government has done a fabulous work over the past few years. But more needs to be done, as we know that around 50% of women in India continue to be anemic. And I hope very soon, most staples consumed in India, whether they be rice, whether they be wheat, whether they be milk or edible oil, end up thoroughly fortified with key micronutrients. Of course, as Ms. Sharma very rightly said, the quality control angle in this remains extremely important. And the last area that I would highlight is the importance of public-private partnerships, particularly the ones highlighted by Assocham. We must continue to have forums like these where each segment of the civil society, whether it's the private sector, the non-profits, the academia, the government, can put its best foot forward. The non-profits and the academia, they tend to help us with objective setting. The government tends to get the scale in, and the private sector can simply get the job done. And to that end, I would, in fact, talk about my very recent experience in Nuflower, where we've joined a forum, an initiative led by Assocham, Assocham's this very council, the Food Processing Council, which is called Forum Against Malnutrition. And the whole point of the forum is to get all stakeholders from all sorts of backgrounds and gear them towards a solution. We need more such bodies to exist. And with that, I hope I have lit a spark that will lead to a lot of ideas that all of us would be discussing over the seminars and the networking sessions that we have today. And I hope we can come up with useful solutions and ideas for our people and our country. And I wish you all a great day ahead. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us and sharing with us your thoughts and perspective, Mr. Khandelwal.